Hello, my name is Jason Carman, and welcome to your first OPS 245 lecture. We're going to go over the way this course is being delivered and the Blackboard layout and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's see where things go. Guess before that, I'll introduce myself and then we'll get into the slides. I think that makes more sense. So, I've been a professor at Seneca College for quite a long time now, since 2020 during the daytime program, but I taught from 2014 to 2018 for continuing education. I've taught ULI 101, I've taught OPS 245, I've taught OPS 345, I've taught CSN, the predecessor to the CSN course in the first semester as well. And I'm a Seneca graduate from the 3-year networking diploma, CTY. So there's hope for all of you, which is great. I also teach at Centennial, where I teach, depending on the semester, Cisco, web design, Microsoft Office, kind of those 3 courses. I would like to teach Linux there someday, maybe. Today we're going to look at, in this first video, we're going to look at what you're going to get out of this course. We're going to look at how Blackboard is laid out, because things have changed a bit with Ultra. And this course is being delivered in a hybrid format this semester, which you have probably already figured out, because hopefully you're watching this video. I'm going to be delivering the videos in an asynchronous format, or sorry, the online portion. The lecture in an asynchronous format, and that is entirely because they scheduled our lecture after our lab, and that's just kind of backwards and doesn't make any sense. So we're going to go through things that way. As you're watching the video, I encourage you to take some notes and bring any questions you have to the lab class. I do try to respond to email in a timely fashion, but I tend to get a lot of it, and I also will warn you in advance, I have a 2-year-old daughter, an 11-year-old and 13-year-old stepson and stepdaughter respectively, and there's 3 dogs in the house as well, so you may hear some noise in the background from time to time, and I apologize that the microphone is a bit fuzzy. I tried to fix that. It didn't fix too well. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not great at that, but I'm good enough at recording videos and doing this. So let's poke around at things, and then maybe at the end of this I'll walk you through Blackboard. So last semester you should have taken ULI 101, which really lays the foundation for the entire Linux stream, or OPS stream of courses. In ULI 101, you connected to Matrix and interacted with the server from a command line environment. You didn't use a GUI at all, even though it says that in the slides, which is interesting. This semester, you're going to be building on that, very, very much so. You're going to be configuring servers, virtual machines. We're not really going to call them servers. You're going to learn how to be a system administrator, and we're going to build on that throughout this course and into next semester. So you're going to learn all the skills that you need to administer, run, and configure Linux servers. It's a really fun course. We're going to have a good time. Depending on your course, you've got a bunch of courses that use Linux. That this is really like the second in a stream, right? And I said course, I meant program, depending on your program. So this semester you're taking OPS 245 with me. We're learning how to configure Linux systems and administer things. And next semester you're going to take OPS 345, which will teach you how to configure servers in AWS, which is really cool. And I've taught that course a few times. I'm actually teaching a section this semester. And then there's some advanced options depending on what program you're in, OPS 535 and 635, where you learn a lot more Linux. And as you should know by now, Linux is important, right? It's everywhere. It's around us. So OPS 245 is going to teach you a lot of foundation skills as far as what it takes to be a network administrator. You're going to learn different ways to install Linux systems, how to manage them, install software, manage services and disk space, manage user accounts, troubleshoot network issues, and what to do when things go wrong. Rescuing systems is in there, and I left the best for last. And I did that intentionally because things will go wrong. Things will break. At some point in the semester, your virtual machines are going to probably give you an issue and you got to restore from backup. And a good sysadmin makes backups. And we're going to teach you how to do that. You're going to learn to be a good sysadmin. Keep regular backups so when something goes wrong, you can just restore from backup and boom, like 5-10 minutes later, you're back up and running. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in Lab 2 because we're going to actually write a backup script together. It's going to be fun. Now, some of the tasks that we do, we're going to be doing them manually first, just to learn how they do or how to do them and how it works. But like I always say, a good sysadmin is a lazy one, which means you're going to learn to write scripts to automate repetitive tasks. You did 2 weeks of scripting in ULI, right? Of bash scripting. And you're not going to master scripting in this course at all. There's just a little bit in here to make it interesting. We're going to write all the scripts together. We're going to be writing everything in Python this semester. But scripting, I can't stress enough, is a super useful tool in your sysadmin toolkit. For repetitive tasks like automating backups, creating a bulk number of users at certain points in the work year. Think of the college for a second, right? Because we're here, so let's use that as an example. Creating user accounts on the system every semester. Do you think somebody does that manually? No way. They write a script that pulls that data in from probably a CSV file and automates that process. So they just have to run the script and boom, it's done. It's great. Now, the two most important questions I always get, regardless of the subject every semester, are, sir, do I need the textbook? The answer is no. Everything is provided to you free for this course, no textbook required. And there's actually no additional stuff to buy unless you don't have a solid state drive, which we're going to get to. And you're going to need one of those for this course. So everything's on the wiki or in Blackboard. And as we look there in a minute, let's actually look there now. I've got links to everything in Blackboard, and it's all structured in a very useful, organized way. So let's pull Blackboard over here for a minute. Blackboard Ultra is something new that we're all kind of learning how to use this semester. I've organized my course this way. Other professors may have done so in a different way, but I have weekly content folders going all the way down to week 14, and you're going to find everything you need for the week in the weekly content folder, including I've gone to the trouble of adding a link to the lab that we're doing each week in the folder. I put a link to the main wiki page in week 1 as well. But if you want to just link from here, that's fine too. Or you can use the navigation in on the wiki page. It's totally up to you, and the important things are highlighted in yellow there. In the course information here, we've got our addendum, which we'll look at in a minute. And the other thing that you're going to find in here is our lecture video, which, well, you should have already found that because you're watching that, right? But it's not recorded yet, hence there's no link there. As you scroll through, you're going to notice the subsequent weeks don't have videos yet. They will when I get there and get to recording a video. So, not the end of the world. Lab 1, let's take a kind of a peek at our outline so we can see how things are going to go. And then I was going to talk about Lab 1. And can I make this a bit... Yeah, that's a bit better. Hey, now you can kind of read that, right? Well, I can't zoom in anymore, apparently. That's the most I can go. So the second question I tend to get, I mentioned 2 questions. I forgot what the second one was. The second question, the first question was, of course, do I need to buy a textbook? No, you do not. The second question is, what do I need to do to be successful in this course? How do I pass? And it's really easy. Same thing I tell every student in every course I teach, regardless of what subject. Come to class, do the work. Literally come to class and do the work. You're almost guaranteed to get an A. At least a B, if not an A. Ask questions if you have any, and do the labs. I can't stress that one enough. Most importantly, do the labs and the assignments, because they're going to teach you everything that you need to know. And of course, the lecture material is here for you to watch to help walk you through the labs. I'm just telling you a pretty story to tie it all together. But actually doing the labs, that's where you're going to reinforce and hone those skills. So here's how you get your grades in this course. 25% of your overall grade comes from your labs and quizzes. There's a bunch of quizzes during the weekly schedule below that we're going to go through in a minute. There's 2 assignments worth 15% each, and we'll talk about those as we get closer to them in the semester. There's a midterm that's worth 20%, and there's a final that's worth 25%. To pass the course, you must get 50% overall. You have to get 50% or better on the final exam. You have to satisfactorily complete all assignments. That means even if it's late and you're going to get a 0 for it, you still have to submit it to pass the course. It doesn't matter if you get 80. If you didn't submit the assignment, you fail. So keep that in mind. There's 2 assignments. And you have to have an average of 50% or better, a weighted average, for your test, your midterm test and your final. So that's a fair bit to worry about. But if you do the labs on time, and you watch the lectures, and you ask questions when you don't understand something, and asking questions is a super important thing, you're going to do just fine, in all honesty. You do have the benefit of a lab logbook in this course, which you're gonna look at on the wiki, and I think we're gonna get into that in the slides or not. I kind of went off the slides for a minute, and I'll get back to them. You get to take a 1-page written notes per lab that you can bring into any assessment in this course. Make use of that. Now, I am offering that in a physical copy, so you can print out a copy of the lab logbook. There's a link on the wiki. Or you can optionally use a digital version and type it out, which isn't something we used to do, but kind of in this sort of not quite post-COVID mentality where we are, and everything was online for 3 years, we were doing it digitally, and you know what, it works. Some things we learned in that, we should continue. So if we look through our weekly breakdown quickly, we'll see where everything lies, but Lab 1 is really the foundation for everything, and I can't stress this one enough either. You can't really skip any of the labs. You kind of got to do them in sequence. Lab 1 and 2 especially set your environment up so you can do everything, so they're super important. And you're going to notice there's nothing in week 2 except for some Python, which is at the end of Lab 1, and we're going to talk about that Python next week. We'll go through the lab together before we're done the video today. Lab 1 is worth 1%, and there's 8 labs in total. The first 4 labs are due week 8 in class together. Now, does that mean you should wait till week 8 to show them to me? No. You should show them to me in class when we get to them in class, right? Like when we're done, raise your hand, I'll come over, mark it, and you're good to go. I do mark the labs in person. I did that last semester and I found it very effective, so I'm going to continue doing that. So in the actual lab instructions at the bottom, it says take a screenshot, submit it to Blackboard or whatever. You don't have to do that. I just need to see the output from the check script, which are similar to the check scripts you will have used in ULI 101. And notice there's 2 weeks here to work on Lab 1. So we're going to do everything except for the Python bit this week, and we're going to do the Python bit next week, and I'm going to actually record a video where I write the Python portion, so you can follow the video and do it. Sound good? Hopefully that sounds good. Lab 1 is worth 1%. The rest of your labs are worth 2%. And Lab 1 is going to be covered by Quiz 1, which is in week 3. So if we scroll down, we see interspersed. We've got Lab 2 and Quiz 1 in week 3. And then nothing here because there's some Python. And again, there's some extra time for these first 2 labs because there's a lot of stuff to do in them. Lab 3 and Quiz 2. Lab 4 and Quiz 3. And your Assignment 1 releases all in week 6. Week 6 is a bit busy, and as is week 7 because that's your midterm. Like, that's the first half of the course. Now I'm releasing the assignment in week 6. We're going to talk about it obviously closer to then. It's not due until Friday, July 7th, which is, I think that's the week after reading week on the Friday. Don't worry about it till then. Just be aware that's coming up. So, you know, when you see that come out, don't freak out. You're going to have like 3 weeks to do that. Then we get into the second half. We see some more labs and quizzes. And there's 8 quizzes and 8 labs. It's no secret. Each lab, or each quiz covers the lab that it's associated with, right? Lab 1, Quiz 1, Lab 8, Quiz 8, so on and so forth. And then your final, and we've got kind of a week here to get everything in as well. So, that's how the course is going to unfold. I think it's going to be a fun time. This is a fun course. Honestly, this was one of my favorite courses when I was a student. And it was one I always wanted to teach. And now here I am. So that's pretty awesome. Oh, that was a lot of stuff. So we talked about all this, right? What do you need to do to complete the course? You need to do the assignments. You need to pass everything overall. And honestly, do the labs. What am I going to do? I'm going to be here. I'm here to teach you and guide you. I'm not here to fail you. I want to see you do well. And I will do my best to help you along that path. Come to class, do the work, pay attention, ask questions when you need answers, and you will do perfectly fine in this course. I think I did all this. Let's see, I went through the course, I went through the evaluation. I don't take attendance, so just throwing that out there, because I don't. And as far as behaving in the classroom, be respectful of each other, right? Just get along. You can contact me. My email is, hold on, let me pull that over from my other screen. My email is posted on Blackboard right here. So you can contact me by email here. I will do my best to get back to you. I don't always manage to do that because, well, 3 kids and 3 dogs in one house, especially a 2-year-old who's running around getting in all kinds of mischief now. There's lots of distractions at home. Sometimes I end up sitting down to respond to a student email, and then my daughter is getting into something, and the phone gets thrown to the side for hopefully a couple minutes. It might be a couple hours before I get back to it. So I'll do my best to try to get back to you in a timely fashion. But bring your questions to class. That's really going to be the best way to get an answer, because I can fix it right away. Especially if it's you're having a problem with the lab, right? It's really easy to troubleshoot that in person. So I encourage you to come to the in-person classes and do so. As a heads up, I will be wearing an N95 mask in class. Probably one of the few that's still going to be doing that on campus, and that's again because I have a 2-year-old daughter that I don't want to bring things home to. Makes sense. And while COVID is, I don't know, it's in a weird phase, right? We're not sure where things are. So I'm not quite 100% comfortable removing that in class just yet. It's kept me safe for 3 years. Let's just be safe a little while longer until we're sure that things are okay. That's kind of where I'm at. Quizzes are going to be open. So this is something that, oh, let me get rid of this. Quizzes are going to be open for the week that they are assigned in, from Monday until the following Monday at 11:59 p.m. So you've got Monday at midnight to the following Monday at 11:59 p.m. So you got a week, plus the weekend, plus the extra day on that last Monday to get it done. If you miss it, it's a 0. Like that's just straight up it. Your tests I'm going to be doing, I think, in person, in that in-person class together this semester. I haven't done that in a long time. We're going to see how it goes, and I'm going to have more information about that when we get there. Your labs, you've got those 2 bulk due dates. Labs 1 to 4 are due in beginning of July, halfway through the course in week 8. The rest are due in week 13. Try to get them in like the week they're assigned, because if you let work build up, it's just going to get out of hand and things are going to get crazy. You got a bunch of other courses to deal with too, right? But I'm trying to be a little bit flexible here. That's for your benefit, but don't procrastinate and think, I can just do it later, because the labs are a lot of work, and they're where you're going to learn absolutely everything you need to learn. For this course, you need to have a USB 3 capable SSD solid state drive. And it says minimum capacity of 240 gigs. Bigger is always better. I'm not sure if you still find them that small anymore, but it's out there. We're going to be using CentOS 7 in this course. There's an image on the wiki that you can download the ISO. And I'm going to warn you up front, this is going to come up probably more than once this semester. CentOS is technically deprecated, and we're in the process of figuring out what we're migrating to. CentOS was very, very popular as a Linux distribution. It's been around for a long time, and it was very popular because it's stable, and it's binary compatible with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Which is the most common Linux distribution used on servers in North America. And there's Red Hat certifications. I'm sure you've heard of Red Hat, but if you haven't, it's out there and it's a big thing. Red Hat was bought out by IBM quite a few years ago now, and Red Hat bought out the CentOS project, and then Red Hat killed the CentOS project, which put, well, this course in a weird state because we're not sure what we're going to do. We're trying to figure that out, but we have to migrate away from CentOS because it's deprecated formally, completely the end of middle of next year. It's going to be dead. So it still works right now. Some things break a little bit from time to time, but we'll fix it as we get there. If things happen, hopefully nothing happens, and hopefully we upgrade this course soon, huh? I just want to throw that out there, because if you start reading around things on the internet, you're probably going to stumble across somebody saying, hey, you shouldn't use CentOS anymore because it's dead, right? And then you're going to come to me and say, hey, why are we using CentOS? Because it's dead. So I'm just telling you up front, it's dead, right? We should be migrating to something. But it was really popular for a long time. It's very deeply embedded in a lot of organizations, including Seneca, and finding a replacement for it is or deciding, I guess. It's not really finding, it's deciding which way to go to replace it. That's the big decision. You're also going to want a USB flash drive, USB 3.0, 16 gigs or bigger, and that's for storing copies of your backups for your virtual machines. And I can't stress this one enough, right? For good backup policies, you should have an on-site and an off-site backup, right? Just in case something happens to your on-site backup. Well, that's like an industry scale backup solution. But you can apply that same mentality to your own backups. You can have a backup on your hard disk, on your solid state drive. But what happens when something happens to your solid state drive? If you drop it, it dies. Something happens. Zeus fires a lightning bolt at it from the heavens, and it gets struck by lightning. Who knows? I had to throw that out there because I like to crack a joke now and then. You're screwed, right? Like, you don't want that happening. So if you make regular backups of your virtual machines, which we're going to teach you how to do, every lab I would back up your virtual machines and copy a copy of that recent backup to your flash drive, so it's not just on your solid state drive. Then you're okay if something goes horribly wrong, right? Because I guarantee bad things are going to happen. At some point in the semester, bad things are going to happen. It happens all the time in this course. It happened when I was a student in this course. Usually right before a practical. We don't do a practical in this anymore. But usually something would happen to at least 4 or 5 students' hard drives right before a practical. They would get dropped down a flight of stairs. They're rushing to get out of the classroom, so they put it in their bag, but they don't zip it up all the way, and they're running down the stairs, and it falls out and goes down a flight of stairs, and guess what doesn't boot anymore, right? Or it just stops working for no reason. The operating system becomes corrupt. Somebody spills water on it. Your kid, brother or sister, if you have a kid, brother or sister, decides that it's a good play toy to take out into the sandbox or something. I don't know. Like, weird stuff happens, right? So be prepared, because you don't want to have to do a whole bunch of work at that point in the semester. And it's best to try to avoid that. The lab logbook, I mentioned that one already. It says I'm going to print them for you. I'm not going to print them for you. If you want a print copy, you can do that. If you want a digital copy, you can do that. It's totally up to you. You should be fine. But this is a good thing, because you are allowed this for every assessment in this course. They're all open book. Your quizzes, your midterm, your final, all open book. So make sure you make good notes. Because a good sysadmin, it's not about, for a good sysadmin, it's not about memorizing everything. It's not about knowing what every command and all the syntax for every configuration file and everything is. It's about knowing broadly, generally, how things work and what things do, and knowing where to go to look up the things that you don't know. And that place for you is going to be your lab logbook, right? Google ahead of time, write it down. Then it's not cheating. For your lab class this week, which is on Tuesday, you're going to, I think it's on Tuesday anyway, but I have to double check. You're going to want to have all of this stuff so you can work on Lab 1 and do your installation. So you're going to be installing CentOS 7 in VMware Workstation, and then in our next lab we're going to be doing some crazy voodoo and nesting some VMs inside there. I'm not really going to demonstrate any of it because I found that that's just not my style, but I will be there to help you when things go wrong, because I think that's the easier and better way to go. Thank you for watching. This brings us to the end of your first lecture video. There's another one coming. Take care. Be safe. See you in this week's class. Bye for now.